Wait a minute. See, as I really don't know what exactly the contents you already know with computer science field. Can you please tell me what you know, whether you know the programming languages, C, C++, basic programming languages?
Yes,
Ma'am.
please.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know basic computer architecture, the things related with computer hardware?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, that means you people have, do you people know the concepts of database?
No, ma'am.
For data,
Database?
database is a storage
Okay.
value of.
See, I'm not asking you questions. I just want to know what exactly you know till now, so that I can decide in what approach I have to go. Do you people know already? You people know C and C++ languages, right? You people know
Yes.
Yes,
computer
ma'am.
basic.
Only sim,
Only C
only C
language.
language.
Only C language.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, you don't know C++?
No.
No.
Okay, okay, fine. Just see, we will see here the subject data structure. And basically, I'm going to take unit number 1 and unit number 2. Data structure. You see, initially, we will see the chapter 1 here. Data structure means what? Data structure means we need to manage data whenever we want to store that data into a computer system, and whenever we want to retrieve data from the computer system. And the user must be able to do these things efficiently. That's why we require data structure. Data structure means it is just like how we are able to organize data in a computer memory so that it can be stored in an efficient, good way. And whenever user want to store anything or retrieve anything, that thing should be happen in a minimum processing time. For that purpose, we require those data structures. Data structure means just we want to organize data, and for organizing data, we can organize data in different number of forms. That's why this subject is here. Okay. Now just initially look at the contents of chapter 1. See the contents of chapter 1. Chapter 1
Yes, ma'am.
contains an overview of computers and programming. Just 1 minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
fine. Just see the contents of chapter 1. Chapter 1, name of the chapter is an overview of computers and programming. We will just see the basic things related with computer system and programming. In that, we will see what is simple program logic, what are the steps involved in program development lifecycle, what is pseudocode, what are the flow charts, how to use sentinel value to end a program. We will see programming and user environments, and finally the evolution of programming models. These are the contents of chapter 1. See, What is the objective of chapter 1? After studying this unit, you will learn what is a computer system, what is simple program logic, the steps involved in program development cycle,
Program development cycle.
pseudocode,
Pseudocode
flowcharts,
state.
using a sentinel value to end a program, what is the user environment in programming, and finally how the programming models get evolved. These are the different contents we will learn. First of all, we will start with computer systems. What is a computer system? It is a combination of all components which are required to process and store data using a computer system. We require to process and store data with the help of the combination of its components. And to that computer system, it have both hardware and software. Hardware, it is well equipped or it is associated with various components like keyboard, mouse, central processing unit, monitor. These can be contents, these can be the associated equipments of the hardware. Software, what is the purpose of software? It processes the computer instructions. Software is consisting of number of programs. Program is consisting of number of instructions, and software is the thing which tells your hardware what to do. Okay, that means instructions to the computer hardware, what to be processed. Those instructions are passed to the software. And to develop that software, we require program. There are number of programs. Programs comprise of software. And individual program is consisting of instructions which are written by the programmer. In short, computer system is there. It is consisting of hardware and software. Software is consisting of multiple number of programs. Programs consist of multiple number of instructions, and software is responsible to tell the hardware what to do. Next thing, related with computer system, there are two types of softwares are there: application software and system software. Initially, we will see this system software. What is system software? System software, one example is your operating system. We know that there are various operating systems like Windows, Linux, Unix. Okay, that means whenever you are purchasing any computer system or laptop, one operating system comes with it. That operating system, that particular software is called as system software. Okay, and what is application software? Whatever the softwares that you are installing over your operating system, those softwares are called as application softwares. For example, some examples of application softwares are word processing, spreadsheets, payroll and inventory management, even games. Installing a game over your computer system. These kinds of softwares are called as application softwares. That means basic computer system will have a system software, and on that system software we can install or we can use these application softwares. Okay, application softwares, any application software like MS Access, you can use spreadsheet,
browser,
you can use games, you can install any particular medical shop software, any particular online railway reservation system software. These can be considered as the application softwares. Next thing, just see, computer hardware and software both in combination with each other performs three major operations. Computer systems perform three major operations. Those operations are taking the input from the user, processing that data, and finally giving the output. Okay, computer system performs three operations: taking the input, processing that input, after processing, giving some output. These are the three basic operations that a computer system performs. You see, input is taken in the form of any text, any number, any image, or even a sound can be considered as an input. Then there is a processing step. In processing, it performs some number of calculations and comparisons which are performed by basically the central processing unit, CPU. This processing processing is done by CPU, central processing unit. And what that CPU does, it does the calculations, it does the comparisons,
And
it will return something. Okay, that is the part of processing operation. And finally, after processing, there is an output operation. Output means what? Whatever the processing is done here, it will return something. And to display that thing over a monitor or in a printer, or you want to store it on any storage device or a pen drive, that task can be performed by this output operation. Got it? What computer system does? It is taking the input from the user. It is processing that input, doing some calculations and comparisons with the help of central processing unit, and whatever this processor will return, that we are capturing onto either a printer, or we are displaying it on a computer monitor, or we are simply storing it on some storage device, either on the hard disk or on a pen drive. That is called as the output. Clear?
yes, ma'am.
Now the next thing is programming language. Programming language, you see, there are some basic terms related with the programming language. Initially, there is a program code. What is program code? It is used to write computer instructions. Whenever a programmer is writing computer instructions, those set of instructions which is called as a program code. Okay, and in short, coding the program. Coding the program means what? Writing the instructions. That is nothing but coding the program. Okay, you see, we can use multiple programming languages. There are some examples of programming languages like Visual Basic, C#, C++, Java, etc. Visual Basic, C#, C++, Java, these are some examples of programming languages. We can use any one of these programming language to perform a program code. Program code, that is nothing but set of instructions. And coding the program, it is nothing but writing instructions inside the program, means coding the program. Now, whenever we are using these programming languages, syntax is associated with each and every programming language. Each and every programming language is associated with its own set of syntax. Now, what is syntax? You see, syntax is nothing but rules which are governing with your programming language. Okay, just like, for example, in any language, whether it is a Marathi, Hindi or English, grammar is there, na? Grammar is associated with any typical languages. For example, grammar is associated with English language. Now, what is that grammar means? Grammar means these are the set of rules which we have to follow whenever we are using English language. In the same way, in programming languages, there are syntax. Syntax means these are the set of rules which are associated with programming languages, and those syntaxes we have to follow. Those rules we have to follow whenever we are using any programming language. Got it? And just see, in a program there can be syntax error. What is syntax error? Syntax error means if some mistake is there in your code, whenever you are typing code, whenever you are doing programming, and some error is there, some mistake is there in your code, then it is referred as a syntax error. Next thing, computer memory. Just see, computer memory, basically in a computer memory there is a RAM. RAM means it is random access memory.
Random access memory.
Random access memory.
And what does that random access memory do? It is a computer's temporary internal storage memory,
Yes.
which is a volatile memory which may lost when the power is off. Just remember that.
Off.
RAM, random access memory, it is the computer's temporary memory which is a volatile one. Volatile means it is flexible. Flexible means it can be lost if the power is off suddenly. and you just forgot to save something. Such a kind of memory is called as RAM, random access memory. Okay. And one more type of memory is there, that is permanent storage devices. Permanent storage memory,
Non-volatile.
which is a non-volatile type of memory. Okay. Basically, in computer system, in computer memory, two types of memories are there, RAM and permanent storage memory. RAM is a volatile memory, permanent storage memory is a non-volatile one. Okay. The meaning of volatile and non-volatile means, in terms of volatile memory, such a memory may lost if the power get off. Okay. Now related with computer system, the next term is compiler or interpreter. What is compiler or interpreter? You see, whenever we are doing programming in any programming language, we are doing a code. That code is called as source code. Now that source code is not directly understandable by your hardware, your computer system. Okay. Whatever you are doing code, you are coding something, it is understandable to you, but it is not directly understandable by the computer system, computer hardware. So that we have to convert, or we have to translate that source code into the machine language code. Okay. What is the purpose of converting source code into machine code? Its purpose is that source code that is not directly understandable by the computer system, and to make it understandable by the computer system, it should be in a machine language code. Machine language code can be understood by the computer system. That's why our source code have to be converted into machine language code, and that conversion is done by either compiler or interpreter. Okay, got it? What is compiler or interpreter? Compiler or
Yes, ma'am.
interpreter, it is something which is translating our original code, original source code into machine language code. Okay, and that conversion is performed with the help of compiler or interpreter. Okay, now the next one,
Okay.
this compiler or interpreter, it is translating source code into machine language code. At the same time, it is checking for the syntax errors also. It is checking whether your program is syntactically correct or not, whether you are following the syntaxes of the language into your program or not. Checking those syntaxes is also performed by the compiler or interpreter. And next thing, how the program executes or run. How a program executes. Initially, input will be accepted from the user. Some processing will occur with the help of CPU, and it will result in some output, and that output will be displayed with the help of monitor, or it can be captured on the printer. That is nothing but program, how the program get executes or run. The next important term is simple program logic. Simple program logic means what? You see, simple program logic, initially what is logic? Logic means programs with syntax errors cannot execute. Already we know that if our program is having some syntax error, it will not execute, because you are not following the rules of programming language, it will not execute properly. Okay, those are called as syntactical errors. But apart from those syntactical errors, there can be logical errors also. Logical errors means what? You are using the correct syntaxes in your program, but still it is not giving the desired output. For example, you want to perform the addition of two numbers. You are doing some program, there is no syntax error in your program, but still your output does not show the addition of two numbers properly. Okay, and for example, the reason for this situation is that at the time of doing addition, instead of using plus symbol, you are using into symbol. Obviously, such a kind of error is called as logical error. That means if the error is not in terms of using the syntax of programming language, but error is because of the logic you are using it. Whatever you want to get output, desired output, you want something to be displayed, but in your code you are using some wrong logic. If such a kind of error is there, it is called as logical errors. That means in a program, there can be two types of errors: syntax errors and logical errors. Syntax errors are nothing but the errors related with using the computer programming language. And logical errors means whatever the logic you are applying to perform something, your logic is wrong. Syntaxes are correct, but logic is wrong. In that case, it is called as logical error. You see, what is logic of the computer program? The sequence of specific instructions in specific order. Whatever the sequence of specific instructions you are using in your code to give something as an output, that is called as the logic of your program. Next thing related with the program is a variable. What is variable? Variable is nothing but, you see, its name is variable. Variable means it can vary. Variable, these are nothing but the name memory location in your computer system. You want to store something in your computer system, then to store something in your computer system, you have to store it through a variable only. Okay, and as it is a variable, its value can vary. For example, you are declaring a variable a. Initially, it is storing value 10. It is acceptable, but later on, after some days, the value of a will get changed to 20. That means value of a variable may vary. Okay, and as we are declaring variable a, that variable a is nothing but a name memory location. We are allocating the memory to that variable a in our memory, and its value may vary. It can change the value. Initially it can be 10, later on it can be 20, later on it can be 100. The value of a variable can vary. The next term is program development cycle. Program development cycle. You see, for program development cycle, at the time of developing program have to be undergone through number of phases. Those phases of program development are: initially we have to understand the problem, then plan the logic, code the program, use some software, either compiler or interpreter, to translate your program into the machine language. After that conversion, test the program, put the program into production, and finally maintain the program. You see, these are the phases of program development cycle. You see this concept with the help of this diagram. Diagram shows the phases of program development cycle. What is program development cycle? From zero to the getting some final result. That is nothing but program development cycle. Whatever we are doing from 0% up to the 100% of completing the task, that is nothing but program development cycle. And its phases are: understand the problem, first phase; second phase, plan the logic; third phase, write the code; fourth phase, translate the code; fifth phase, test the program; sixth phase, put the program into the production or into the deployment. This phase is also called as deployment phase. And finally, maintain the program. Okay, you see, initially I will tell you in short what this diagram shows. Okay, for example, initially we must be able to understand the problem, what exactly the problem is, so that we must be able to give the solution to that problem in the form of some computer software. Okay, for example, one medical shop is there. Medical shop get managed by the medical shop owner. Okay, and he is not using any software. He is doing all his tasks by manual. Then he have to maintain all his records. He have to maintain what are his daily what is his daily sale is, what is the total stock is there, what are the things, what are the quantities, whether he is in profit or loss, whether if a particular customer is in his shop, he have to give that, he have to do the calculations, what is the total, and then accept the money, all those things. Okay, in that case we must be able to understand the problem here. The problem is that that medical shop owner may require some software. That software can manage all his tasks. Whatever he want to do, all the things there, that task have to be done by the computer system. Okay, that means we want to develop some medical shop management system. That is our problem here, and we want to solve that problem. You see, the solution to this problem is final ready software, final ready program. That is the solution. Now, from that problem, to reach from this problem up to the solution, whatever the phases we are going through, that phases are called as program development cycle. Okay. Now, initially, we have understand the problem, then plan the logic. Plan the logic means we must be able to perform some planning. Before actually writing the code, we must have to perform some plan. We have to make a plan. That plan can be in terms of flowchart, in terms of any particular diagram, or some paperwork have to be done before actually start doing the programming, before actually start writing the code. That means understand problem, make a plan according to it, and then start writing your code for that particular software. After that code get completed, the next phase is translate the code. We must be just here, whenever we are writing code, that code is a source code. Now we want to convert that source code into machine language code. For that purpose, this translate the code phase is there. Translates the code with the help of compiler or interpreter. We have to convert our source code, ready source code, into the machine understandable language. That's why this phase is here. That means at the end of this phase, there is a ready machine language code. Okay, machine language code is ready. Now we want to test that program. Testing the program means what? You have done the code, you have translated it into the machine language code, there is no error. Now you want to check whether it is giving correct output or not. For that purpose, test your program for multiple number of inputs. Just give first input and check whether it is giving correct output or not. Give second input, check whether it is giving correct output or not. Give third input, check whether it is giving correct output or not. That is nothing but test the program. Okay. After the testing get completed and it is working properly, there is a production phase. Put that program into production. Production phase, or it is also called as deployment phase. Deployment is what? Handing over your program to the end user. That means we are handing over our medical shop software to that owner. That is nothing but put the program into the production phase. That means here we are handing over our software to the end user. Our software, medical shop software, to the medical owner. Just remember that this production phase is also called as deployment. In computer language, it is called as deployment. Deployment means what? Handing over the software to the end user. That is called as production or deployment. And just see, even though that product get handed over to the client, after that also we have to maintain the program. Maintaining the program is what? Even though we have handed over the software to the end user, program to the end user, after handing over the code to the end user, it may happen that there may be some problems in that software. In that case, it is called as maintenance phase. In maintenance phase, those programmers have to give a support to the end user to maintain their program. Maintaining the program means if some errors are there, still if some corrections are there, if the end user wants some corrections, we have to do those corrections. And if there is no correction, then it is fine. If the corrections are there, perform those corrections and again follow this complete life cycle again. Okay, just remember that after this production phase, there is a maintenance phase. Maintenance means maintaining the already developed code. That means even though the program they will deliver to the end user, we have to give support to the end user. Giving the support means what? Yes, it is working fine. If it is not working fine, some mistake is there, some changes he want, we must be able to perform those changes here in terms of maintenance phase. Got it? You see, what is this? It is called as a program development cycle. Got it? You see, initially the phases of program development cycle: understanding the problem, I have already explained; planning the logic, that logic can be planned in terms of you can develop the flowcharts and pseudocodes. You see, at the time of planning the logic, in terms of planning the logic, we can develop algorithms, we can create flowcharts, we can create pseudocodes, we can create IPO charts, we can create TOE charts. You see, these are all are the contents of planning. Planning means before actually starting the code, we must have some plan what to do. That plan is we can develop the algorithm. What is algorithm? Algorithm is nothing but the sequence of steps or rules you follow to solve a problem. That means we are creating the on paper algorithm. We are just giving the steps to solve that problem. Okay. Otherwise, we can create the flowchart. We can create pseudocode. What is this flowchart and pseudocode? We will see later on. After planning, we are actually coding the program. After coding the program, we are using some software to translate the program into machine language code. Okay, you see what happens in that translation. Whenever we are converting the code into machine language code, we are initially writing the correct program code. We are compiling that program. If there is some syntax error, you see, there can be two cases. Error is there and no error is there. If no error is there, executable file is created and it is giving some output. But after compilation, if it is consisting of some error, then there is a creation of list of syntax errors. That list of syntax error have to be corrected by the programmer and again compile that code. This is the sequence of how the compiler or interpreter translates the source code into the machine language code. What that interpreter does, checks, it compiles the program. If no error is there, executable file get created and it is displaying output. But if error is there, correct those errors, again check the program. That means correcting the program and checking the program. This step have to be followed number of times until there is no any more syntax error is present. Okay, that is nothing but creating an executable program. How we can be able to create this executable program? We have already seen what is testing the program. Testing the program means just debug your code, check your program for multiple number of inputs whether it is working correctly or not. That is nothing but testing the program. Putting the program into the production, handing over the software to the end user. Maintaining the program, that is nothing but the maintenance phase. That is nothing but making changes after the program is put into the production phase, put into the deployment phase. Okay, next thing, we will see here two terms, pseudocode and flowchart. What is pseudocode and what is flowchart? Okay, initially we will see pseudocode. What is pseudocode? It is just an English-like representation of the logical steps it takes to solve a problem. Okay, you see what is pseudocode? Before actually writing code, we can create a pseudocode. Pseudocode means it is a English-like representation of the logical steps. Okay, how to solve the problem? How to solve a problem? Just mention those logical steps in English-like representation on paper, which is called as a pseudocode. And what is flowchart? Flowchart is a pictorial representation or a diagrammatic representation of logical steps it takes to solve a problem. Okay, you see, pseudocode means writing the logical steps to solve a problem onto the paper. It is called as pseudocode. What is flowchart? Creating a diagrammatic structure or a pictorial structure of logical steps how to solve a problem. That is called as flowchart. Okay, you see one example of pseudocode. For example, in pseudocode, For example, here is a pseudocode representation of a number doubling problem. We have one value, one number, and we want to double that value. Okay. For that purpose, we are writing here pseudocode start, stop. You see, pseudocode always starts with start keyword. It ends with stop keyword. And in between, you see, we are just mentioning English-like representation how to solve this problem of doubling a number. Okay. Initially, take input my number, set my answer to my number 2 times, and then just give the output of my answer. Okay. Take my number as input, then double that my number, store the result into my answer, and display or give the output my answer. Okay. This much of code. This code is called as a pseudocode example. This is a pseudocode to double a value of a number. Okay. It is just like an English-like representation, and it is just giving a logic how to solve a particular problem. Here our problem is that one number is there and we want to double the value of that number. For that purpose, pseudocode is developed. You see, there are various pseudocode writing standards. We have to follow these standards whenever we want to write pseudocode. Those standards are: pseudocode have to be begin with start, and it have to be stop with, or it have to be end with stop. These two keywords are always aligned. Stop, start, and stop. These keywords are always aligned. Align means what? You see, start and stop. These two keywords are aligned with each other. Okay. Next thing, whenever a module name is used, whenever a function name is used, it have to be followed by a set of parentheses. Set of parentheses means round brackets. Whenever you are giving any module name or any function name, it have to be followed by round brackets. Okay, that is the rule. Next thing, modules begin with module name and it have to be end with return statement. Each and every module have to be end with return statement. Okay, and module name and return statements are always aligned with each other. Next thing, each program statement in your pseudocode must perform one action only. For example, in one statement we are taking input, in one statement we are doing the processing, and in one statement we are giving the output. For example, here input is taken, processing is done here, and output is produced here. Okay, that means in one line try to perform one action only in your pseudocode so that it is simply understandable by the user. Next things, you see, each program statements appears on a single line if possible. Try to manage each program statement appear on a single line only. Okay, and program statements always begin with lowercase letters. All the program statements of pseudocode have to be start with lowercase letters, and there is no need to use any punctuation at the ending of the statement. Do not use full stop, do not use semicolon to end a statement in pseudocode. These are some of the standards which have to be followed at the time of writing pseudocode. Next thing is drawing flowcharts. You see how a flowchart can be drawn. To draw a flowchart, we require number of symbols. Okay, those symbols are: we required arrow, pointed arrow, we required parallelogram, we required rectangle, we required parallelogram one more time, and we required these symbols. Okay, you see the purpose of each and everything. This parallelogram symbol, it is used for taking input and giving the output. You see, input my number and output my answer. The symbol is same. This parallelogram symbol is used for both taking the input and displaying the output. Next, if you want to perform some processing, if you want to perform some operation, rectangle have to be used. Okay, rectangle, which is a processing symbol. And to start your flowchart, you can use this symbol. To stop your flowchart, you can use the same symbol. You see, to start and stop, the symbol is same. Okay, and we are using this pointed arrow to connect all these symbols with each other. Okay, these all are the symbols which are used to draw a flowchart. We will see one example. Just see, this diagram shows on the left hand side, here is a complete one sample flowchart, and here is a one sample pseudocode. Already we have seen what is this pseudocode. It is a pseudocode to double a value of a number. Taking the input my number, double that my number, and store that double value into my answer, and give the output in terms of my answer. Just print the value of my answer variable. This is the pseudocode for performing a value double. Okay, now we are converting this pseudocode into a flowchart format. Flowchart gets started here, flowchart get ended here, start symbol, stop symbol. After flowchart gets start, we are taking input my number in a parallelogram. We are taking the input number. In rectangle, we are doing the processing. What processing we will require? My number have to be multiplied by 2 because we want to double it, and store that result into my answer variable. Okay, here we are performing the processing in a rectangle. After processing, we want to display the output value of my answer. That's why again use parallelogram here and just display the output value of my answer variable, and finally stop. You see, the meaning of this flowchart and the meaning of this pseudocode is same. Both things are same. Got it? 1 minute. Huh? Hello, are you listening to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any doubt in this session?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Shall we stop here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
You
ma'am.
see, we have reached up to flowchart. Huh? Okay, and tomorrow we
Ma'am.
will see the next concept. Fine. We will end today's session. We will end today's session up to the flowchart. Again, see syllabus one more time. Okay, fine. We will stop here. Just see flowcharts. We have completed up to this flowchart symbols, right? We have completed
Yes,
up to
ma'am.
this point flowcharts, and tomorrow we will start with using a sentinel value to end a program. Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.